Recording. Okay, we should be live, back on the air. Sorry for the bugs. I'm going to try one last quick thing. Oh, also I need to double check. Does this... Oh wait, well I know that works. Cool, that works. So those all still work. Great way to start. Last thing I was gonna just see if I could on the Question, if I play, for example, that sound again, do you hear it twice on the stream? Yeah, you hear it twice on the stream. Okay, so what I might have to do is, if I go to voice mod, I don't know if I can mute, like, my own sound on that. That's the problem. Like, if I turn that off, you guys can't hear it either, right? Like, I turned off the grassland sound, right? Yeah, okay. And now if I leave it back, though, you can hear it twice.
I don't know.
No?
If I am, I can't hear it. Or if it is that it's so close, I can't tell.
Okay. Well, we'll try it this time for the we'll try it like this for the moment. And, we'll try it like this for the moment. If anybody is watching and, it does become unbearably, like, double synced or whatever, please, please, please do let me know. What about the rest of you? Can you do... Is it like a double thing for you guys too? For you guys at all, or...?
I don't think so at the moment.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. It's strange that it wouldn't be, though. But, okay, I digress. And see, that's the trouble. If I do it just as, like, an audio output thing, then you guys on Discord won't be able to hear it. But if I do it as a other thing, then it plays twice. Because of course it does. Sorry about this. I know you guys are just here to play a game, and I always overcomplicate things somehow because nothing ever cooperates. Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Let me just quickly do a little teensy bits of resizing. Just on the visuals. Hey, babe. Alrighty. So, I'm going to switch back to non-studio mode. And I'm going to, just make sure everything still works. Yeah, if I switch the viewer. Cool. After a insufferable false start, hello and welcome to DC30 and our Mythic Odyssey of Theros. D&D with an ancient Greek twist. I am your Dungeon Master, Romeo, and we thank you so much for your patience as I, predictably had a new technical issue bite me in the ass at the last second, because of course it always does. But we're here now. I'm joined as ever by the lovely Morse, Tamara, Rebecca, Virla, and Violet. Ali is celebrating his birthday weekend. We wish him a very happy birthday and look forward to his return very soon. How is everybody tonight?
Eager and ready to go.
Good to hear, good to hear. To be fair, we didn't make terribly bad time. It's only 7:30. But I'll get stuck right into it, since I, know you've all been waiting for this moment, he said sarcastically.
We've been waiting for like 2 weeks at this point, right?
Right, yes,
Yep.
I am genuinely...
Deliciously.
I'm touched that you guys, count so feverishly. It means I'm doing something right. But, when we last left off, you guys had settled back into Meletis after your adventures in the Valley of Oreskos. You hit up Daxos, the half-nymph owner of the armor/magic shop known as The Crucible, looking to spend some coin. You ended up coming to an arrangement with him where you would aid him in slaying a creature known as a Magnetar, in exchange for about 7,000 gold drachmas worth of store credit in his shop. You traveled with him northwards to the Four Winds Plateau, tracked down this beast, and decisively slew it. Job done, you traveled back to down the plateau, settled into camp for the night, and are now making your way back to the city. About a day's journey again. Now, that's pretty much where we come to, so I would defer to you guys in terms of I can fast-track that thing, but unless anyone wishes to do anything during that journey back, or we can cut straight to arriving back home.
How long is the journey?
About a day or so, same as coming up.
Just if it's long enough to take a long rest, that'd be useful.
Oh, so you fought the Magnetar, and you fought the Magnetar as the sun was setting at the end of the day after you've ventured from Meletis. So you would have had to make camp anyway unless you traveled during the night. You can do that if you like, but
Rest is good.
very well. So you someone is waving hello. Who is waving hello?
That's my sister.
Hello, Vidla's sister. Bring her over. Come say hi.
Yeah. I didn't mute. Sorry.
And now now famous.
Hi, you're live on Twitch.
You're live.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Okay, now do you?
Now do we?
Ciao.
That was smoother than like any of our other streams combined.
Right?
Like a flawless execution from start to finish.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like, I used to think Helena was a character you put on, but I'm starting to wonder if it's just a familial trait you're channeling into.
Probably.
Fair, fair. But yes, unless anyone wishes to do anything on the journey back, I will say that you guys spend, 12 hours or so-ish making your way back down to the city. And come the ending of... You guys have some rations, by the way. I'm asking... Correct? I presume you would...
I think so, yes.
It's about a day's worth of food, just because of the journey itself.
I think I am out actually. No, I'm not. No, I'm good. I'm
I
good.
still have rations.
I'm down to 3 rations.
Cool.
That's alright.
Plenty more can be picked up. I'm just making a point to be a bit more mindful of that. But yeah, towards the end of the day, as things get a bit warmer now that you're out of the more windy highlands of the plateau, you see Meletis come into view, and before long, you are let through the gates, Daxos next to you guys, and you enter into the city you know. Yeah, that was the thing. This is a specifically ancient Greeks themed cityscape. If you listen to the chatter in the background, babe, you might recognize some words.
I like it.
But yes, you guys are back into the city, and Daxos says, as you guys, he holds his, like, spare bag of holding that is contained the entirety of the Magnetar carcass, and, well, job well done. Appreciate your guys' efficiency. As promised, 7,000 gold drachmas store credit at your disposal. You can spend it now if you like it, don't have to close shop right away. Or, just keep it on tab. Your call.
Reconvene at a later point.
He gives you a nod.
This is smart. You are smart.
Smart. He gives you guys a nod and says, well, unless there's anything else. Guys, have a good evening. I'll see you around. And with that, he looks and he's like, I'm not fucking walking. His wings of fire erupt out of his back again and he just soars off.
Always the showman.
Anybody got plans for the evening?
Guess I got studies to do.
You're probably looking up the bathhouse. I haven't been to one in a while.
Good idea.
But I could always put the studies to one side. Bathhouse is free. Procrastination is always the solution. I think.
Well, when you're there, I can tell you the solution isn't elemental, but
Scotinos, you hear a voice in your ear. I'm sorry. Procrastination is always the solution. You don't have to answer, I just wanted to show that off.
Let's find out more about this elemental method of heating a bathhouse. Yeah, let's do that. That
Oh
sounds
my god,
stupid.
I'm kidding. Enjoy yourself.
Like a sheepish student. Yeah, well, we will go. I think we're actually going to head up. We're going to hit up our old haunt. Twice for Scotty and I think thrice for Amalia, but we'll go to the same old bathhouse.
Very well. Easy enough to find. You guys are led back, and but then you've heard of this bathhouse. It's not. So it is a nice bathhouse, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It is a very high quality public bathhouse in that it's not exclusive or anything to that effect. It's a very large edifice that has well kept, well polished, nice and tidy, but sort of large larger structures that are widely available. And specifically this one is actually a taxpayer funded one. The Amarantha Sect public bathhouse is owned and maintained by the Temple of Amaranthe as well, but does take sort of subsidies as part of an effort to encourage not just hygiene, but also a standard of presentation among the public, based on the ideology that the right to look one's best should not be something reserved solely to those with pockets clinking full of coins. And so for the modest fee of a silver piece, you can buy a day's entry's worth into this edifice. And yeah, you come up to it, and sure enough, there is a... This time, you know, it's far more lively and open, and you see a young-ish satyr male with a short curly blonde hair, who's at this sort of like little kiosk that's just barring the entrance in terms of like where you pay to enter. Hey guys, that'll be 5 of you? Alrighty, will that be a day pass? Well, it's an evening pass, so you might not get the whole thing out of it, you know...
So a discount, you're saying, because it's only half the day. Oh, you're too kind.
I don't make the rules, I'm afraid, sorry about that, but, you know, you can buy the, hourly or passes, if you want. It just means that not all the facilities are unlocked to you guys. The day pass gets you everything in one fell swoop. If you wanted all the amenities, it would be about 9 copper.
I just need the basic, really. I have my own.
Alrighty, that'll be 5 copper. basic package for everybody?
Sure.
I'm just, you know, I'm not saying that I'm frugal to any means, but I'm just saying that, you know,
No, no.
I'm not gonna get the full deal.
Here at the that's what we're here for. We're here for the people who, you know, as the saying goes, we all deserve to have the chance to look our best and feel our best. So that'll just be 2 silver drachmi and 5 copper drachmi.
So, but then you have that whole like, anyone else?
What was that for everyone?
That was for everybody.
I owe 5 copper pieces to Bithynia.
Yeah, me too.
Alright.
I'm just gonna open my little wallet and give you 5 gold pieces and then 2 silver pieces.
Math.
So Amalia's paying for everything then, if she pays Bithynia back the exact amount it costs for everybody to get in.
But she's just paid 5 gold and 2 silver.
Oh wait, 1 minute. How much is it for each piece?
You,
Okay.
you just paid with £50 note.
I'm a businesswoman, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna give her what I owe her. For
I'm furiously taking notes that if I need to stall you guys, throw a minor transaction in front of you.
And then
You know what?
also
Fuck.
gonna pay for Scotty.
Fuck magic doors. The next dungeon will have a vending machine out outside the front of it, and all you need to do is buy a Snickers bar to get past.
It's so hard.
I've got some money now. It's not as much because we spent it all on bits, but I won't say no to being treated.
You hear, "Oh my god! Decide later! You've already paid," as you look and see a line has formed behind you at this point in time. And like the elderly gentleman who's like holding like flip-flops in one hand. He's like, "You literally already paid your entrance fees. Decide this after you've had your soak, please. There are people waiting to get inside." I'm sorry to yell, it's just... this is ridiculous. The the satyr chuckles and hands you guys your tickets. Says, right now, hold on to these for the next 2 hours. You can leave and come back as long as you show me this, or you can, if you want, throw it away. Just means that when you go, you go. If you stay here for the full 2 hours, you can comfortably throw this away.
Okay.
And so you guys let past the little gate area.
I'm just waiting for the first opportunity for me to cannonball into this place because I'm just that eager to get in. So.
Cool. Now, at this point in the evening, sort of circa the around about the 8 o'clock period, it is actually one of its slightly busier hours. It's not like packed or anything, but you enter the foyer, and you do see. Good, isn't it? Oh yeah, I had a bathhouse soundscape prepared. And
We are a dirty party,
there's about... so this is about like a 50 by 100 foot build. Like, this is a large hall. And you see maybe 30 other people who seem to be sharing the same space as you. So again, slightly more picked up as a result of it. The sheer size of this place means that it's not exactly like... there's plenty of room for everybody. It's a very big pool. And yeah, there's just this wide, incredibly wide, sort of tetrahedral diamond-shaped pool at the center. Judging by using the Minotaur, who seems to be also having a soak in the tub, as the scale, you gather it's sort of about 5 feet high at the sort of the highest point, but as he like walks up to the other end of the pool, you sense that there is also a slightly deeper end as well. The deepest end is about 7 feet. So there is some opportunity to soak. That you have not been in before, but yes. Amalia, you remember this place quite...
I think it's good
Nope.
It's the third,
Wait,
it's the third time we've been here.
you guys have, you guys, to my recollection, were at the bathhouse one time, and that was when you went to fulfill that contract.
We've been a second time since then. We did. We've been at this the third time because we
Because the second time me and Scotty had like a talk about not leaving each other behind.
Right.
we did. We had a
That's on me.
ridiculous race where I totally didn't cheat.
Xanthia, you've actually used this bath once or twice, so you're relatively familiar with it. You guys are, so you sort of can pick and choose. There are plenty of free benches as well. There isn't like a locker system per se, although that is an amenity that can be purchased, but it would be easy enough to leave your belongings comfortably within view.
Can I, as we're undressing and stuff, just have my ticket in my hand and turn to Amalia and go, what am I supposed to keep this? Am I butt crack?
A very elderly lady walks right past you and says, "Hey, if it works," and she gives you like a
I think what you meant to do with it is keep it with your stuff. Like you don't have to keep it on you like now. It just has to go with your stuff. Because then where would I put it? In my main? And then I get it wet? And then oh, I don't like wet days. They're all like fluffy and my hair is everywhere and
Let's
hair
splash
is
it,
just
Malia.
all over me.
I splashed Amalia. Where it is, I've already splashed Amalia.
Oh, you are so dead. And then she kind of like flops back into the water and then dunks Scotty under and then laughs and then lets him like come back up.
You get one of those. You get one of those. Alright,
Yeah,
now we
but
race.
that's
Go!
the point.
And he's already started sprinting off.
Scott, the minute, so the Minotaur, who's sort of, he's just sort of been like treading laps, but as he passes you guys, you're having the splash thing, and he looks at you, Scotty, and he says, "Want me to get her back for you?" He's about he's about 2 feet taller than Amalia as well, for reference.
I kind of roll onto my back to do a bit like a sort of like a backstroke, and I give him a wink, and I'll turn as if I'm continuing.
So you watch as he crouches in the pool, and then with muscle-bound legs that look like they could crush a coconut like a ripe cherry, he leaps out of the water, tucks himself into a ball, and then drops back down. Amalia, make a dexterity saving throw.
This is so rude. 14.
That fails. You see how like a water mushroom cloud and then quickly engulfs you, and you are just head to toe like soaking rag drenched, and you are knocked back 5 feet. Like a colossal amount of water is displaced from the pool, and you always feel like it like lowers about an inch, and like a very prim-faced like monitor who's like sitting on a chair just like gets up and says, "Damn it, Thanator! That's the last time you're banned for a week."
From where I would like to subtle cast hemokinesis and try and shove the guy 5 feet into the water.
Okay, what is the,
Standing on the edge.
what is that, a con save?
It's a constitution save.
I'm gonna say is the commonest stat block, so 12? It's just a straight 12.
12 fails. I pull him 5 feet over the edge into the water.
He gets up. What was that?
It looks like you slipped and you went in.
Yeah, you should be more careful.
Make a deception.
By the way.
Deception disadvantage because he felt himself get pulled against his will.
Deception disadvantage. Alright, here we go.
He's gonna make an
That
insight
is-
check.
That is a natural 1. That is sandwiches.
He looks at you. I am choosing to take the high road here. Hold that again, and you are banned. Just soaks himself off.
As he gets out, can I cast thaumaturgy and just make the ground shake as he gets out?
Sure.
We just killed a Magthar. We are gonna take it out on this poor defense. You know, he had it coming. It's fine.
So the ground lightly rumbles. And he sort of like looks around, just calls out, "Earthquake!" to everybody, and everyone like starts to like get out, and they start panicking. So he's like says, "Earthquake! Evacuate!" How long does the effect last?
A minute.
Okay, so he's full on like, "Everyone, please evacuate in an orderly fashion. I'm sure it will abate slowly, but we cannot take chances." And he starts basically directing a full on like fire drill style evacuation.
Swan dive. I'm swan diving. I'm doing great.
He's talking to you too. It's like he pulls out like a little, "Please evacuate the pool area. We have to take safety precautions in the event of an earthquake." And people are starting to like get up and get dressed, and Thanator,
It's gonna splash and splash.
Thanator with a successful insight check says, he just gestures his thumb towards you, Hilira, and the guards like, "I could ban you for that, you know."
How do you know it was her, huh? Huh?
"I don't need to know it was her. I have the authority to ban you regardless."
Yes, you have to have proof against someone who did nothing.
This is not a courtroom. Guys, the DM is trying really hard to not get you guys thrown out 5 minutes into the bath. Don't be utter shitbags. Give me something to work with here.
So the thing is gonna come out of the back or like the facilities and look at what's going on. She would away. We're gonna look over. And what's going on, y'all?
I don't know.
Nothing.
Just the job's worth. That's all. It's okay. We can deal it.
A job's worth?
These people have been disruptive, and they have been borderline dangerous. Do you know what happens in a trample?
Okay, well, sorry, but you had it totally under control. I'm really proud of you, to be honest. And the people that have now evacuated created more space for you, and they still pay you. But we're just making you more money. I don't get why you're so upset.
A, they're still behind you. They were just gathering their things.
Oh, you should have played it up a little bit more. They should have made more money.
Business head.
Where he turns to the public, like to the rest of them, is like, "Rest assured, we're not here to exact untold sums. This is welcome to all. You have obviously paid for this."
I've kind of like glided past him without like, as you know, I'm just going to give this that just like face as just like slightly past as he's going to give him this gesture. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Look, there's only so much realism the DM can hand wave away.
We're taking a lot out of ruins there. I don't know what we did what he did to encourage this. I'm all for it though. Oh.
Yeah, keep saying that.
So again, he's gonna look over at
Yeah, he's basically like the lifeguard.
She's going to look at her and apologize. My apologies. Is there anything that I can do to help you? Since I only just got here, but I care about the city more than apparently this entire party collectively. So my apologies.
Well, that
Keep me out of this, please.
he says it's true. That one. Oh, my apologies. She did not partake in the mischief. Just ensure that they calmly and orderly enjoy the facilities alongside everyone else, and afford others who wish to use this place the same level of courtesy you might expect in return. Thanator, the Minotaur, who's sort of getting up out of the bath, like walks up, he grabs like his belongings, which is like almost just like a toga and nothing else, but he sort of fishes around in a coin purse, plants a gold piece into the boy's lap, wasn't like into the boy's hand, and says, for the dive bomb, and to maybe make use of the drying facilities for your clothes. And you know what? Puts an extra gold piece. An extra for just having a little amnesia. Holds it in his hands and... well, at least one person knows how to properly make amends. Your ban is prematurely suspended.
Sophina's gonna look over at the lifeguard and nod to him. And then go after the lifeguard and say, you know, want to get back into the situation. See what happens if you put a water elemental in the bathhouse.
Oh, that actually happened a few months ago. You didn't hear about that?
I know about it. However, if you want to see some trauma unlocked, it will not be happening anymore.
Well, perhaps we'll send out the, custodians a little earlier. Bithynia, you would know that he means that they use water elementals as, bound water elementals as a filtration system.
She's going to hand him a couple of copper pieces. Just make sure I get out of the pool before you.
He looks at the copper pieces. He looks so torn, but he ultimately presses them together, puts them back in your hand, and says, I'd get fired. I'm not allowed to handle the water elementals. Ever since the, accident happened, only a designated magical practitioner is allowed to conduct the rituals.
Sitting on the edge of the pool.
Right. I'm going to dry off. Enjoy your stay. And he sort of storms off a little bit in a huff.
Is it okay to cannonball now?
Thanator says, I'd advise against it.
Yeah. Please don't.
Besides, why would you want to? People come here to relax.
We'll find you a nice lake at some point where you can cannonball to your heart's content, okay?
Yeah, we found one last time. There's a freaking Iron Scale Hydra in it.
There's
Not falling for
always,
that one again.
there's always the sea.
Are you telling me to get in the sea?
I'm saying it is a perfectly adequate place to do dive bombs.
Some very exciting stuff.
Just whatever you do, do not turn into a goldfish when you dive. Saw it happen once. It was a mess. It was, ill-advised. But anyway, I'm done. He sort of begins telling himself off. Good evening. Just boom, boom, boom. Heavily walks away.
Just for the record, worth it. The whole thing, worth it. Can I just continue continue doing my sort of like back kicks. Just now, after all the carnage is done, just nice and relaxed and chill.
Sure. Bithynia, are you also sad that Bacchus didn't have time to join us today?
What are you talking about? Am I invisible to you all of a sudden?
Maybe you should cannonball so you get everyone's attention.
Funny as that sounds,
Heard something there?
funny as that sounds, I'm honestly pretty beat up over the past few weeks. You know, we've been on the road, and Amalia's father was a right bastard in terms of how hard he hit, so, I'm kind of the mind to just let my bones soak a little. He sort of just full on like dead man's floats.
Or face up or face down.
Take a wild guess. But yeah, no, face up, and this is very much not a bathing suit situation either for anybody. So there is a mast to this ship. It's not raised, but there is a rudder. There is a rudder. But yes, unless specified otherwise, you could probably acquire some form of bathing suit if you really wanted to, but most people simply use this facility as it is.
Once Scorsese's kind of got his carnage out of the way, he'll offer to kind of sit and look after everyone's stuff while he towers off while everyone else bathes.
You guys do spot as well as that, so the main entry grants you, the big tub. There's an access to the main pool area. You see how the sort of doorways that have their own little ticket booths that can be, you know, so you can access specific private hot tubs or that sort of thing, or sort of private baths. But you do also see almost carrying those sorts of shoulder-mounted trays similar to someone selling food at a sports game. There are attendants who are carrying around trays of various miniature soaps and fragrances and oils that one can quickly purchase on the fly and apply to themselves. And people do. You see one woman in about her 40s. She looks actually slightly more affluent in terms of she has very lively jewels and a pearl necklace. Which is slightly surprising. You would think she might want her own private bath, but no, she's chilling happily with the common folk, as it were. But she does purchase something on sort of like what looks like the slightly nicer section of this tray, and she begins just applying these. The smell of lavender immediately like wafts towards you guys as she like immediately starts generating a lot of bubbles. It sort of like starts to like spread out this like big soapy cloud that sort of emits from her as she begins soaping herself up and Letty and just washing away the stress of the day. And you guys watch as it develops a certain point, but then something seems to like suck the suds down into the water, and they seem to, in almost like a plume, drain away into a grate at the bottom. You guys can make a perception check if you like. Natural one?
4. Natural 3.
Okay. You are amazed, like, how do they extract the soap like that? Yeah.
21 total.
21 total. You spot a very slight humanoid shape in the water. Like just like a very faint area where the water is of a slightly different, like flows slightly differently, and you can almost make out a large humanoid shape that's almost like lying prone, and with one of these large amorphous hands, it seems to be funneling the water through itself, and then out the other hand into these grates at the bottom of the floor.
How far is she from everybody else?
That is up to her. I can't help but notice we lost almost everybody camera-wise.
I'll be back on camera shortly.
No worries, I was just I didn't notice until just now. I was like, Jesus, what happened? No, I'm kidding. Oh, you don't have to keep it on if you don't want to. I was just exclaiming, but oh, thank you. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wave over to you.
Yeah.
You all see that in the water. There's like something with arms and something filtered.
With the 21, I'll say yes. You do see that this humanoid figure seems to be made out of water as well. And you know a little bit about, just being a studious person in general, you know a little bit about the infrastructure of the city, and you know that this bathhouse in particular, or many of them as a expedient form, will use magical sensors and little cauldrons that are specifically designed to summon and bind water elementals and fire elementals in the event of heating. And they do to utilize them as power sources and custodians.
Yeah, so Human's gonna come to the edge of the pool and just sit with her legs out. She's not too concerned about it, but she's going to get out. Y'all, I don't know what your comfort level is, but just take these.
I assume you say this to, like, 5 people who are all naked in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what your comfort level is. It just cuts to them all, like, in their birthday suits. Well...
I mean, the comfort level would be with the elemental. I know that they're probably more than comfortable with nudity and
Yeah.
but
Well,
debauchery and nudity with danger.
I'll say around...
They're a fairly frisky bunch.
I'll say around this time, the lady who was soaping up just sort of dives in and sort of washes the rest of it off of it, and as the last of the soap gets funneled away, you watch as that sort of amorphous shimmer in the water recedes back into the grate.
She's still gonna go out. I don't know what's going on. I didn't.
You would know that it's fairly common to employ them in this way, particularly Melitisse, which prides itself on its arcane proficiency as a whole. Make liberal use of magic when it is most convenient, and a water elemental's power over water and control over its own body makes it ideal to basically run water through itself and just suck up all the little particulates and then deposit them elsewhere. So powerful enchantments that generally the city contracts to high-level arcane people to develop and create are employed for this, and once an elemental is bound, it is entirely enthralled, and it is quite safe.
So you sure you don't want to come back in?
Nah, I'm good. I'll stay. I'll stay on the beach. I'll be safe.
One of the one of the attendants, as it passes you, a Triton girl with shocking pink fins on her head, says, "Is something the matter, miss?
What is that?
Is something the matter, miss?"
No, no, no. I'm just enjoying the time before I get back there.
That is fair enough. If the water is not to your mood, can I interest you in the oil infusion package?
No, I'm good. I'm good here. I'm just enjoying the company, and I think that given the brief interaction that this lot has had going into the bathhouse, we should probably stay here and sit here with friends. Less anything else.
He looks all confused, but very well. Enjoy your stay. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with. And she resumes carrying her tray, offering various bits and bobs and snacks and other things. general amenities. Alright. Guys have a couple hours. If you wish to simply soak, you absolutely can. You can also have any conversations you may wish to have. The bath is yours. What do you wish to do?
Can I, after an hour of just soaking, swim over to Amalia?
Yes, you can.
Amalia, can I talk to you for a minute?
Did we lose Amalia entirely?
No, we can talk. What's up?
Well, we had the big fight with your dad, and a lot of stuff happened, and I wanted to talk to you about it, but then I got a little bit scared, and then I didn't talk to you about it, and I just want to talk to you about it.
Okay, little one, you can calm down and we can talk about it.
So, I just wanted to apologize.
Apologize for what?
Well, it's everything. I just, there was the thing, and it turned to my dad, and then I didn't want to fight my dad, and then Buckius fought my dad, and then Buckius almost died, and then you almost died, and then I almost died, and then Cynthia almost died, and everybody almost died.
Hey, look at me. No one died. We almost did, but we didn't. So we're good. And we've got you. No. I'm not done. We've got you for healing. We've got Scotty for healing. We've got Bathina for healing. I think everyone can heal apart from me and Bastia. So yeah, so we're good. We've got people that can heal us. And, we're like a family. So we're going to always heal each other and annoy each other. And, technically, Bacchios didn't fight your dad. It kind of looked like your dad, but it wasn't your dad. So, if you're scared that you saw one of your close friends kill your dad, it wasn't your dad, so you're okay.
Well, I just felt like I wasn't really on my A game, and I'm sorry. And I'm
Hey.
sorry.
We wouldn't have found him if you didn't do your weird kind of power of running or like telepathing yourself through time and space and.
Oh yeah, I have to tell you something. I did something bad, and I did it with Xanthia.
You did it by yourself again, didn't you?
No. Okay, I did it once in secret, but that was the first time, and I didn't get hurt. But it's not.
That's gonna be its own channel point thing. I did it once in secret, but it was just this once and it didn't get hurt. Sorry, continue.
But we talked to Kira and your dad, of course, after they Cynthia and I were just talking, and then I just wanted you to know that your dad slept with Kira, and I asked that question.
Yeah, I kind of already knew.
It's not why I wanted to apologize. I kept forgetting why I wanted to. So, I'm just sorry. Just wanted to say I'm sorry. Because, I feel like sometimes the bad people in our life don't say sorry because they don't feel like they have to. And I feel like somebody should say sorry to you because you had to kill your dad, and that's some tough shit. I'm sorry you have to kill your dad. I'm sorry that he failed your mom and you.
I'm gonna hug you now.
Okay, I hug back.
It's a
But
bit
this
like
is like a proper pick-up bear hug infused from like a wet lion.
it's very sweet. It is very sweet. It is very heartfelt, but it is a little bit like hugging shower like a shower rug that's just been walked on as you just stepped out of that shower. That kind of like
I love you, Amalia. And I swim away.
And with your speed, you're like a little little motorboat.
Okay, as she like goes away, like I kind of shout it out, I love you too!
Hilira, as you're swimming, fast as you can, you all of a sudden, a massive, like roaring creature erupts out of the water and waves its arms wildly. Make a, I'm gonna say, make a intelligence saving throw.
Oh, nice, great, thanks. 3.
You scream loudly in sheer shock, and then your face of surprise and alarm turns to irateness as Bakios, the water now sort of like having settled, like lowers his arms and like, oh my god, you should have seen your face.
And I try and like dunk him underwater.
Okay, make an athletics check.
I like to think you can't just like pull yourself out of the water in the act.
Hey, that's a natural 20!
Oh,
Plus 4, that's a 24!
So he was gonna let you do it anyway, like he's not resisting at all. But I'll say, yeah, he lets it happen, but you definitely put your full weight behind it. You sort of knock him down a little faster than he was anticipating, and he gets a bit of a lungful. You're like, okay, that's fair enough.
I can swim him.
Yep. Turns to the rest of you. Sorry, couldn't resist. And he
I'm like giving like 2 thumbs up from the distance.
Oh yeah, the water is nice and hot, and it is a much needed bit of relaxation to have that soak into your bones. And unless you guys wish to do anything else, I'll say that the 2 hours pass by in, for the most part, relaxation. The water, you weirdly almost enough, remaining at a nice hot temperature. Somehow beyond what you would consider possible. Goes a long way towards seeing that you're very pleasantly, not so much sleepy, but you're like, I could go to sleep right now. You guys haven't had dinner yet, and it is sort of approaching the 10 o'clock mark. But other than that, your 2 hours are up, and they are in the process of closing down as well. People are beginning to vacate.
Shall we head back?
What is it that we have left to do now? Do we have any other tasks or things that we're aiming to do? Like immediate things.
Nothing immediately works. With those fragments of the trident, I would like to investigate this further. At some point,
And if that was towards within you, well, I guess the uni types probably have a better bet of working that out than I do. I was
You
just
go-
going to see if there's any other jobs, and then I was just going to eat at the daughters and eat at the lodge, to be honest.
Oh yeah, you ate at
See
the
if they
lodge?
actually got the chance to hunt in the end. Really hope they did.
So what's your plan with the trident, Xanthia?
not ancient, mythical one like this one. And Daxus told me that he was not able, or like he would not be able to fix it himself, but he would have to go to a very scary starting place. He did not want to go to the city.
Oh, is you talking about Mount Velus?
Could be, I suppose.
Oh yeah, it's a scary place.
Have you been there?
I've not been there, but I've seen what comes out of there. And I've seen it go off, and it's very loud when it does. You hear it all the way from the city. Right, Hilira. When Mount Velus erupts, you hear it straight from the city.
Yeah. Not the prettiest thing.
It's got kind of like a ugly beauty to it. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not good with words, but people sometimes go there to lay tributes to Porphyros or to try to make offerings to an Oread. And they don't always come back, especially if they're not smart about it.
I think that we are quite a smart group, and I turn to you guys and kind of hopefully.
I know, right? I mean, I don't want to brag, but I really think I'm the brains of the operation.
I'm like eating half a soggy
certainly.
racket right now that got splashed with water, and I can't just like stop halfway through. Huh?
Yes, like this, so we have a grain of gold.
But then he's gonna look over. The sharpest thing about you is your axe, and we'll keep it that way.
Takes 12 points of psychic damage. I rolled a needle. Oh, fuck.
Does he get it? He might not even get it. Be like, oh,
Oh,
that's
he-
nice and sharp.
Oh, he gets it, but I'm gonna say take a point of piety for that, Bithynia, because why not? I'll say at this point you guys are out of the bath. Oop, second. I didn't have this one prepared in the list, so I had to click it, but
Yeah, Scotinus will offer to see what jobs there are in town in the interim, but otherwise that he's planning to spend the evening probably at the lodge of Nelia.
okay.
Is that you, Marley? Somebody take you on.
I stubbed my toe. So this is meant to be city at night, but it feels like zoo at night.
With this party, it always is.
Okay, I'm gonna. Does anybody go out drinking?
I probably will once I get to the lodge, but
Okay.
because he's probably gonna spend the evening with Galatea again, unless there's other plans.
Okay, does anybody wish to do anything else as well?
I just want to say to Xanthia, like, if you're not sure about your trident, I could try and talk to Oronos about it tomorrow. You know, I have that cool spell with the ritual where I can like ask questions. I can do that tomorrow if you want to do that.
Yes, that would be very much appreciated.
Malia, again, your toe?
I'm turning
We
that
really
off because
need
it's
to
too
get you
distracting.
some shoes, darling.
I really should have had a listen through of each one of these before I use them, but screw it. I'm gonna just switch back to sane. It's only 10 o'clock, it's still busy.
Yeah, but that would be greatly appreciated. I'll also try my luck with pranks tomorrow, I think. My aunt has advised me to do so. In the past, hasn't been the most successful, but I'll try.
I will. Before I go to bed, I would like to send a message to some people.
Okay. Who do you want to send a message to?
Okay, I am afraid to say names, so I will just describe the person.
Nope, nope,
and-
nope. This is happening.
So I want to send a message to that lady that we saved from her wedding day from Lord Caravan.
Right, I genuinely forgot her name, so could you remind me?
I think it was Enya. That's what I wrote down, but
Inia? How does this...
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna say it was
I
In...
wrote down Enya.
Fuck, it's Enya now. Oh no, it was Enyo. It was Enyo because
Enyo. Okay, wait.
because that is an Enyo is an actual Greek name, so I'm gonna assume it was Enyo.
Sure. I want to send her a message.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I want to say. Hi. So, still on the run? Doing okay? Found a safe place? Cough if you're not safe. Say location, please. Tell her, okay, bye.
Hilira? It's good to hear from you. I work as a gardener now. In the, mainly in the gardens of Philia? How many words was that? I lost track.
As long as there wasn't a mistake on the thing, you've done 19 out of 25.
19 out of 25. Master of Health. And that's it.
I also want to send a message to. Sure, why not to Johnny?
Okay. What message do you wish to send?
How are things back home? Anyone dead? How are the us crawlers settling back in? Bye!
No one's dead. Dust crawlers are pretty good. Settling in nicely. We're all pretty excellent, actually. How are you, little one?
That's it.
I will
send a message back.
Can't blame you for wanting to hear that voice again.
I'm pretty good. Killed a weird magnet beast. That's one weird. Yeah, everyone's great. Yeah, that's all. Bye.
A magnetar. Very impressive. I must say, hearing your exploits is often quite remarkable. I look forward to seeing more of your work.
Is Leona turned from like hot to slightly creepy really fast?
Yeah, I gotta say, I wasn't sure how that voice was gonna come across.
That's great. It sticks with the theme, you know, Nazaros, Ajani, it's...
With the benefit of hindsight, I probably wouldn't use that voice for a Johnny going forward. I was going for hot.
You know, Ajani has a great voice. Just as it is.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I'm just gonna skip off somewhere and eventually go to bed.
Okay. You hungry at all? Just out of curiosity, or...
I'll probably eat something.
Okay, you find a, kebab stand, and you get, like, a whole bunch of, souvlaki skewers, and just kind of, like, tear into them.
Nice.
Okay. Scotty, you do return to the Lodge of Nelia, and, yeah, sure enough, Galatea is there. She says, upon your inquiry, didn't see the little one again today.
Kept busy, I fear.
She's in the process of eating an apple like one butchers a carcass, so it's a little unsettling, but you're also slightly intrigued by it. Like, you're into it.
I'm impressed. Any particular hunts that have been posted for the lodge of late?
A few different things. Have to talk to Cleo for the specifics, I just do what she tells me, but... I, did hear that there was a big, a couple of big commissions out there, they want some sea lions at the moment. 800 gold piece each. No, it's not a bounty, it's a specific commission, so you'd have to go out and find them, but... Oh, one that, Cleo was stressing about was... They've put... damn it. Since the Hematikilia is, drawing closer, they want to be prepared for that event, so... The city has commissioned the hunt of a Jayuratodus.
Do I recognize that name?
Make a nature check.
I'll make a nature check. That is a total of 19.
You've only seen pictures, but you've heard mention of it. It has elements of it are reminiscent of a catfish in terms of its physiology. It has a lot in common with a fish. It's a large creature that inhabits mudlands and swamps. It's capable of gliding through mud as easily as it glides through water. And It's well, not purported. Its meat is quite succulent and quite full of nutrient. Isn't it? It is nutrient dense, so it is often sought after as a foodstuff.
Sure. Look into that lead. Probably tomorrow. It's late. I should look at for any other jobs at the notice board tomorrow as well.
Well, they're in the process of tracking down the Jayura told us for this. If they find one, be careful. They get pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never terrified of anything big. Bigger they are, harder they fall.
She gives you a playful punch on the shoulder that... Sorry, my little delicate flower. I forget sometimes.
And yeah, I spend the evening at the watch.
Very well. What does everybody else do?
I'm good to go back to my lab.
Very well. Easy enough as well. Amalia, anything in particular? Take that as a no. Very well. So you all retire in for a fairly relaxing evening. And I'll say everything passes by in relative ease. And you're turning for the evening. You can all go ahead and mark that as a long rest. And you awaken the next day. Refreshed and ready to go about your business. Sorry for the weird long pause, I zoned out for a second. What would anybody like to do? Actually, I'll say. Bithynia, you first and foremost. As you're preparing your morning Greek coffee, you hear a... You see a satyr, actually, dressed in a very practical chiton. Hard leathers to sort of help with what you almost look like hiking type of setup. Very thick wraps around the ankles. And a hat that elements of it remind you of Hilira's hat. Except his is made out of leathers and straw as opposed to being an actual like helmet, like battle helmet. He has a big satchel that seems to be brimming with scrolls. And he sort of pulls it out. You look upon his chest and you see the Greek omega symbol, like the U, but sort of upside down, almost like a U. The Greek letter pi, was in the Greek P, and the Greek letter Sierra.
So she's gonna look and take the ball. Hello. Do you want to do you?
I'm so sorry. I am part of the sorry, one second. Sorry, I lost my place in my notes. I am part of the Omega Rho Zeta delivery service, and out of character, those 3 letters look like UPS. Okay, yeah. The DMs know the setup for that was not worth it. That was a dumb joke. I apologize. But okay, this is a postman, basically. So he says, I have a scroll for one Bithynia. Hands it to you. Just a signature here, if that's alright.
I'm guessing he had well or something.
Yes, he does. And I just have to take a picture of you holding the pack. No, I'm kidding. Do they do that in the States as well now?
They take a picture of like your location. Like
Oh.
if they put it on your porch, they'll take a picture of your porch.
Right.
Or if they like find your garage or something.
Here in the UK, they'll take a picture of you holding the package as,
It manages to do a quick pencil sketch.
yeah. I'm kidding, that doesn't happen. Just that, although, there's this, I was gonna just throw it out. It's, just a menu for a new place that opened, up on this road, and, they're sending circulars or junk mail to everybody, but, you can take it if you like. I thought as much. He just balls it up and Kobe's it into the nearest trash can. Right, I've got a lot to get to. I'll be on my way. Have a good one. And he sort of starts off sprinting to the next house. Plummet's pawing the ground impatiently. Oh yeah, it's definitely preserved and sealed. I'll say as well, just as a general reference point, mark off 1 gold for a bale's worth of hay that Plummet can eat at his leisure. That you've somehow managed to ferry up onto this roof.
Maybe I had another delivery.
Thanator was in the neighborhood. He's like, no, it's really no trouble, and just lifts it on his back. But yeah, you take out the leather canister and open up the scroll, and it is a letter of summons for not just you, but all of Tempest to a council meeting of the Council of Meletis. Your presence is requested later this afternoon at sort of the equivalent of 2 p.m. or so. Your presence was requested specifically by one Tanis. So you are to present yourselves at the, sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, notes. You are to present yourself to the Boleterion, which is, Boleterion, which is the, like, government edifice at that time.
We're meeting at the
Yeah, so the Miletian equivalent of, like, Parliament or Congress kind of thing.
gonna finish up our coffee and then figure out
Yeah, I did it too, Viola. But yes, you're able to do that easy enough. You, know where to find Scotty first and foremost. You know him probably to be at the Lodge of Nelia. So you quickly soar upon Plummet and, are able to inform him as such. Then you guys know where to find Xanthia. You know she has permanent residence. Amalia, Hilira, and Bakios, where would you guys have... I know Bakios isn't here, but where would you guys have stayed?
I don't know, like at the inn or something.
Okay, I'll say then...
With the bed.
Somebody mark off a gold piece for everybody's beds for the night at the inn.
I think we've lost Amalia.
Okay. She had a power cut, so we'll hold tight there, but I'm sure she'll be back soon enough. But yeah, you, yeah, in the span of an hour or so, you're able to find everybody and meet up. Where is everybody meeting up?
We can go to the tavern for breakfast.
Yeah, easy enough.
Yeah, we can leave that.
Everyone's going to be gathered there, so we'll have a scene.
Yeah, there's a, the guy with the, playing like the breakfast ditty, so there's like a satyr on an Aeolus, or an Aeolus, just like tooting away, and you guys, as you guys are getting your, breakfast.
So everybody's now at the table with me.
Yeah, you, as, the centaur who comes up to take your order, just says, we have a special on scrambled eggs. The chef whipped them up this morning. We're beaten in with tomatoes, trapasata, and olives and feta in an ensemble. The normal selection is also available. We also just prepared some svanakopita. Svakianopitas, which are like a...
Pass him over 5 gold pieces and say, feed us well, just bring us stuff.
Very well. And he just, and he calls out, Astiopia! The full Monty! And, this, like, elderly, like, older centaur lady, like, has a big grin, and then she, like, basically twirls her knives like she's, Neil Peart about to go into a drum solo, and then just cuts loose, preparing.
Did the... kind of now disregarding the server, kind of go back to Bithynia. So, did the summons say anything in particular, or...?
Yes, we are to meet with Candace today at 2 p.m. On Premier Building. So, all of us need to be there. Again, just not the same person that is, or... I don't remember that, but there might be one of others who are really just Candace.
I'd be surprised. Well, she might. She's done very well of late. So, but
You would know from the wording...
specifically-
Oh, sorry. You would know from the wording, Bithynia, that if it's a council meeting, then the entire council of Meletis is going to be there. Perisofia, Molpadia, the ones you've met, and all the others as well. And very, like... I'll say with your... just general political knowledge, if Tanis is involved, odds are there will also be various dignitaries and other people involved. It's likely to be a packed council meeting. You can generally surmise with your political know-how. Something like what Tanis is, everyone wants a piece of that, basically.
It was from Candace, and while Candace could be there on their own, I'd expect the
in trouble, are we? This isn't about the bathhouse, right?
Well,
This would be quite the way to get Stern telling off, but I mean,
I don't think what happened in the bathhouse was this grave to warrant such a big sodium.
well, I highly doubt that it is. However, whatever it is, we'll be talking about it at 2 o'clock today.
This is better. I switched to the quiet tavern soundboard. Sorry, continue.
Is there anything anyone else needs to do before 2 o'clock? Does anyone have anything they need to pick up from a shop or have repaired or axe sharpened or something? I don't know what you all need to do there.
I keep planning.
That sounds like a lovely idea. I might go see if Daxos has any good whetstones. I'll meet you outside the building at 2 o'clock unless I'll see you at the Crucible. And Bakios goes and does that, just so the DM doesn't have to Jaeger him.
As he leaves, I genuinely
That's before
contemplate whether or not if I can give him just a wet stone and see whether or not that would count in his mind.
Of course. Breakfast first. Right you are, Zamphia. And at that point in time, it takes 2 of these centaurs to bring it, you get, the older man you get there is the father and the daughter is helping, and it is just an absolute, just cornucopia of, there's ladenia, which is like a flatbread that's been infused with tomatoes on top of it, almost like focaccia with sun-dried tomatoes on it. There's these sort of sesame seed bread rings that are just like a big pile of them. Bakios in particular, he eyes this dish, which you swear it's fried potatoes and with like sprinkled feta with the eggs with fried eggs on top of it. Another section has, just your regular avocado toast, but this one does have a bit of feta and cherry tomato with it as well. The Sfakianopita are these Cretan cheese. It's like a sort of like a pancake cheesecake pie thing with nuts and honey. Just a little bit of lemon on the side as well, just to take the edge off of the sweetness. It's like a cheesecake pancake type of situation. Then there is that sort of scrambled egg that has the tomatoes beaten into it. That is its own bowl selection. On top of that, in another area, you see a dish that Bithynia, you know, is called risogalo, which is like a rice pudding type thing, which can be had with cinnamon. And another section has like these little delightful looking egg muffins that have olives and little cucumber bits and onions throughout them.
So, but they're just gonna dig in and enjoy a meal as it arrives.
And it is delicious. Tamara, I saw your face as I was describing.
Making me hungry. I only had bread for dinner.
Why?
No time to cook. Too much time spent on studying.
Oh, that's harsh. But yeah, it is a delightful breakfast. You all tuck in, and as you guys finish slurping up the last of it, about solid 45 minutes later, because it is unless you guys tell me you eat quicker than that, that's also fine. You all sort of lean back like, breakfast food, baby. Right, now I'm gonna go see about the whetstone. And he sort of, Bakios goes off. You guys are welcome to join him at the Crucible if you have any business there, but that was just me parking that particular asset so it doesn't have to take space in my brain.
Cynthia, you want me to do this spell now?
What would be most convenient to you?
Well, I do have it prepared, so if you want to do it now, we can do it now. If you want to do it later, we can do it later.
No, it's fine.
Oh.
if I could just ask, do you have the materials ready? Does the spell consume the materials, or is it just...
Well, my D&D Beyond crashed.
Okay,
so
I'll look it
I'm
up.
just reopening it to see what the.
That's quite
components
alright.
are, but
It's divination you want, right?
no commune.
Oh,
I think divination has components. Commune does not. From the top of my head.
correct. It has non-monetary components, so you can use a spellcasting focus for that, or a component badge.
So, do you have any questions? I have 3 questions.
So, good question. So Bacchus said something about Mount Vesla. You would confirm that this could be the place, right? So we don't have to waste a question on that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could ask him on if there is a specific person that we need to find there to fix the trident.
It has to be yes or no question. So I could ask if we need to
Is
find
there a person? Yeah.
Okay, is there a person? Okay. Like it doesn't have to be about the trident. It can just be any question you want answered. Just in life, if anything's bothering you.
Well, I'm not sure if you guys really noticed, or like how much of you noticed, to be more specific. But last we met Tanis, she had or like a vision, I suppose, when we shook hands. And I'm a bit worried that this means something bad, or that it might be related to the trident thing and the Mount Vesla thing, or this whole meeting thing that is coming up, to be honest. So maybe you can ask if the vision is related to what we will find at Mount Vesla.
Okay.
Just gonna make a quick addendum. It's Velus, Mount Velus.
Velos, sorry.
Velus.
Mount Velos, yes. Okay. And honestly, I can't think of anything else right now, so if you still have questions you want to ask Kronos,
I have a lot, but that's probably for a different time, So, I will cast Commune.
You lay out the various parts of the ritual and you close your eyes and concentrate. After a moment, you just hear next to you, "These egg muffins are actually phenomenal. I can't believe I haven't stopped by here before." "Oh, hi, dear. You look well."
Oh, thank you. I do feel quite well. How are you?
"Oh, can't complain. The old day job, it is what it is, I suppose. Zooming around is always fun." And yeah, so it's the point of he's sat next to you guys in the empty spot where Bacchus was in the booth. He's sort of like diagonally adjacent to you. "Alright, what can I do for you?"
Well, I I just have a few questions because my friend Santia found this really cool trident thingy. And
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
so we just okay. So there are a few questions that I always have to mentally prepare to make sure I ask the right questions.
Take your time. I'm
That's
not going anywhere.
Well, I had this one time where I cast a spell and then I asked like 3 questions that like weren't meant to be questions, and then I only had like 2 questions left, and they weren't even good questions.
That was genuinely hilarious. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's kind of where my name stems from.
That's pretty good. I have to remember that one. But take all your time you need, my dear.
So my friend Cynthia, she got this like prophecy thing that was quite spooky from this lady called Tennis.
Ah, yeah, sweet child, that one.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if she should be like worried about that.
Anything?
He
We're just
genuinely...
chatting and, like,
He takes a very long pause and he thinks hard. Hard to give a concrete answer there, I'm afraid. I mean, there's ways to make any prophecy turn sour. Whether you should be worried about it is difficult to say. Nothing's set in stone, but sometimes not doing something can be the worst of the 2 options. Hard to say, I'm afraid. I would have to go with unclear.
Okay, so he says he doesn't know. He's like, oh, everything can turn sour, like if you just like wait long enough, grapes. Yeah. So doesn't really know. Sorry. Do you have any questions you want me to ask immediately before I ask a question?
You ask questions first.
Okay. So is the prophecy thing, is it like related to the trident? Like if we go after the trident, then the prophecy comes true and then we all die.
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. So they are related and we might die.
To the first thing. I mean, of course you might die. You could trip on a rock as you walk out this door, so it's hard to not answer that one with the word yes.
Yeah. So you have any other questions, Anthea, or can I like just go rogue?
Yes, go.
Oh, please go rogue. I've been waiting all day for this.
Okay. Oh, I had a question that it just left my head. So we have this meeting today with the Council of Melodies or something, like in a few hours. Are these people trustworthy? Just checking.
Most of them.
Cool, 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 cool. Okay, well, those are my questions.
I believe you have 3, right?
Yes, I asked 3. I asked about the prophecy.
Ah,
that was,
yes,
I don't
yes.
know.
That's
and then
on
the
me.
trident and the prophecy. That was yes, we might all die. And then the Council of Melodies.
Right, yes, well, unless there's anything else I can help you with, afraid I have places to be, but, yes?
Well, I wanted to ask, right? Because we met a few, like, really cool, like, oh god. Oracles. Words. We met a few oracles, and I was just wondering, do you have an oracle?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't know.
You're such
Never
a cool
thought about
pod.
it. I know, right?
I know you know I know. You should really get an oracle.
Maybe it'll
you
happen. And the thing about that is you don't make an oracle. You thrust the gift upon someone. And you can clearly see by the life poor Tanis has led, that isn't always an utterly benevolent gift. It doesn't always lead to nothing but happiness. Look at, I mean, Zoe wears it well, but it is her life, whether she likes it or not, and she seems to like it and well enough, but that choice was made for her. Doesn't mean not do it, but it is something that's not done lightly, I'm afraid, and worth pondering the ramifications of thrusting that path upon someone before you do such a thing. And the right person certainly has to be chosen.
That's true. Well, if you ever need one, I can be your oracle. I trust you.
I'm sorry, dear, it doesn't work that way, I'm afraid. The gift of foresight is one that is, given upon birth. It is a mark of birth, specifically.
Would you be able to, like, see your own birth if you were an oracle?
I don't know that I'd want to.
Nah, well, I wouldn't either. That'd just be, like, a lot of screaming and stuff.
And also, I don't want to see that part of my mother in that condition. I respect that that is a natural process, I just don't know that I want to grace my eyes with that sight when it's my mother I'm talking about. I don't know if that says anything bad about me, but just gotta be honest.
Sure. Okay, well, that's probably all I have to say. You probably have a lot of things to do still. I want to keep you up.
God's work is never done. Have a good one, my dear. I'm never far. Taps his hat, blurs out of his existence. Scotty, the egg muffin that you were in the process of eating, like you raise it like with your eyes closed, and you like bite down on air, and you open your eyes, and you were certain you were holding an egg muffin a second ago.
So, what's the verdict?
Well, Trident and the prophecy are related. We might die. He doesn't know if we should be worried about the prophecy, but you know, it is related to the Trident, and then we might die. And I asked about the Council of Melites as well, if they were all trustworthy, and he said some of them were, some of them weren't.
Okay.
Bethany, I'll say, again, with your inherent know-how, you could elucidate on that last one. And that sounds about right to you. Like any political body, particularly one with so many opinions, there is plenty of opportunity for great benevolence and civil servants who come into it only wishing to do right by their people, and plenty of opportunity for corrupt individuals to better only themselves. It's a mixed bag.
Well, out soon enough.
And is Bethania still in
I
like
know.
earshot of you all? Like I'm still nearby.
I assume you haven't left unless you wish to leave.
No, I'm just making sure. No, I'm still here. No, I have no concern at all. I think we're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Tempest have built up a bit of a free pass in case we are in trouble. We'd probably be only a little bit in trouble, right? What's the worst we've done so far? We haven't really done many horrible things. We're kind of good people. That's kind of the point, I guess.
I mean, we went out with a particular objective in mind and a side objective, and we accomplished both, and we returned. I don't really see anything wrong. I'm not an oracle, but, you know, I don't need to be.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah, I think you have a point there.
And realistically, if there had been an issue, we would have been stopped by the garrison that was here ahead of time, because they would have been on alert for us. We've already been in town, it's fine. It's
So that means
formalities.
they want us for something. So should we decide on a rate now, or favors, or
Well,
a
I don't think
statue?
that, as much as I would like to negotiate with them, I think that they're in a position where they tell us, and we say yes or no, but I believe we are in the position that we can negotiate maybe the terms of how we get there, or what we do once we get there, or what we have to complete the job to make it easier on our end.
Yeah.
House. I want a house. I think that'd be
Ooh.
cool. A house for all of us.
We're still waiting on a key. I suppose we keep trying to save up for a keep, and that never gets around to it. So I suppose.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. It'd make it easier for me to find you all in the morning, and it'd be nice to have more space for Plummet to spread out, more so than the rooftop.
Did we maybe already discuss who should, well, lead those discussions?
So we're going in saying we want to keep. Is that do we just go straight in and just throw that out before we hear what they want to say, or?
Amalia, like, very gently, like, just, like, does, like, just pause your face in, like, a no way, and says, like, Betinia, you're, like, the smarty pants one.
Unfortunately. Or fortunately. I have absolutely no concerns, qualms, or other issue with going forward and speaking, knowing what we want / need.
I mean, I'm not very good at the whole politics thing, so that's what you're good at.
We all have a particular set of skills.
Exactly. I slashy slash, you talky talk.
Well, I will be happy to do so.
And you shooty shoot.
And if you want, I can improve your charismatic skills just a tiny bit. A bit of heavenly glory.
Oh, I can do that as well.
I think between Hilera's memory of things that have happened in my absence, or when I was off looking at bugs or trees or whatever the heck I was getting off into, I think that the conversation will go swimmingly well with all of our efforts, both in where we've come from and where we're going and where we are now. And no second guesses or qualms against any of us contributing to the success of this meeting.
But seriously, we want to
Just
keep
shouldn't be
though.
talking too much. But aside from that.
I mean, if I had more information on the letter, I personally would love to see Baktios go into this conversation head first to see what they want, to see what is needed. I just kind of think that'd be fun, but I don't think that would help their mission of getting the keep, so.
No.
Very well.
Here we go.
So it is, but just double checking, it is about noon at this point, I'd say, between everything. You've had a sort of late break, like a brunch type situation, so you have a teensy bit of time if you wanted to do anything else. Alternatively, we can...
I was still planning to do the notice board, or look at the notice board, and see
Okay.
if there's anything of interest there.
You are able to head on down that way. It would be... They're actually in a relatively similar place. The sort of main central town hub, or the main town square, at the center of it at least, the one near the port, has the great statue of Efara on it, or as in a smaller one, that has the board beneath it. And not too far from there is the agora that also contains the various different edifices. So yeah, you guys...
Give it a bit of a scout and see if there's anything of anything new that we've not seen, or anything that catches my eye. And
Easy
I'll
enough.
Make a note of it on a piece of paper.
Guys, travel on down to the more seaward portion of the city, and approach the great statue of Efara with the flowing, meticulously carved marble water that pours out of her amphora over her shoulder. And there are actually several different boards of posts upon the wooden plaque that is pinned beneath the statue. This board is always quite packed in general. There's everything from new help wanted down at the stables, things like that, lost cat. So there's a lot of sort of very like ordinary ones, but there's every now and then a few that stick out as, oh, this looks like something I'm not overqualified for. And you do see a small collection. The ones that particularly catch your eye is... One in particular is, says, the village of Oxus requires the aid of able-bodied mercenaries. A man came into our village demanding a sacrifice of 6 children by the next Inixios. He threatened to kill everyone in the village unless this tribute is paid. We have doubled our guard, but are concerned he may be in fact able to deliver on this threat. Please seek him out and ensure this does not transpire. Not too far from that...
What town was that?
Oxus. Not too far from that, you see, just in big letters, Pirate Bounty. Wanted, a ship sporting black sails that bear the insignia of a grey fist have been responsible for sinking several trade vessels traveling along the routes to and from the Lindus Horn. I am trade merchant Coprius. I represent several guilds who have been wronged by this rogue vessel. They are eager to see an end to this disruption of commerce. We have collectively gathered a reward of 6,000 gold drachmi for the eradication of the problem. Bring the sailors proof.
What was the name of the person?
Trade merchant Coprius. Coprius. C-O-P-R-E-U-S. There's a slightly smaller one that looks like less official looking, like it was sort of home written, as opposed to maybe like done in like any kind of printing stamps or anything like that. That says, urgent! Something got into our kitchen and we had to close down the restaurant. It's locked in there, unfortunately no one got hurt, but we're losing business. Speak to Iglin Romerath, owner of the Wreckborn Reef.
Suppose we can knock that one out to what time is it now? I'm doing the Mr. Incredible. I've still got time.
And the last one that catches your eye says, mercenaries required. Griffins in the area are growing particularly aggressive. It's escalated to a civilian killing, so Ranger El Tora of the Reverend Army seeks information on the cause of this, and ideally an end to it. 100 gold drachmi reward for the former, 1,000 gold drachmi reward for the latter.
Do you really think that it'd be smart to go on a wild
What time is it now? Roughly speaking.
like 2?
Yeah, new 15 at this point.
I like our chances. I think we could. Yeah.
You know what? I'll say 12:30 actually, given like
I
average
think we might be
walking
pushing
speed.
it a bit.
I think that we should, maybe we should do it after the meeting. If the meeting goes quick, we can get it in before the, how about that?
All right. I'll reluctantly agree to the sensible one in the group. Yeah. I make a notable bar 4 of those, and then I will group up with everyone if I have, unless everyone says this, and then yes, I will follow the rest of the troop until we meet. Please. Yeah.
Very well. Yeah, easy enough to do. So you guys can kill time for an hour and a half, and sure enough, you present yourselves to the government edifice, a very large Acropolis-like structure that is the height of prestige and political power. It is the seat of political power in here. Hillier in particular, it's a little odd for you. You know, this is somewhat of a public place. There's still an element of, you know, you get the sense that without Bithynia, at the very least, you probably wouldn't be able to get this far into this particular part of the Agora. But even the Agora itself, it's far more, like, there are market stalls in the same area, and then, you know, there's various different edifices that, you know, some are administrative and things like that, and, like, the seat of power being in the just center of the city, within walking accessibility of any of the civilians. For someone who's used to a city where the seat of power is a citadel that is literally elevated on a separate, like, outcropping of rock, removed from the population and towers over the rest of the city, it feels a little weird. Obviously, Akros being a dynarchy or a form of monarchy as opposed to a republic, you're always aware of this fact, but this little visual disconnection is, you can't help but, only for a second, but make a note of it. It's like a, huh, but that's about it. That's about as deep as it is, but it does strike you. But yeah, you approach the various different Reverend Army hoplites that are standing guard at this position. The Pol Marco comes towards you all, but he spots Bithynia and gives a nod, and they are expecting you. Right this way. And you are led inside. I'm gonna turn off the main. Oh. Stop all sounds. Now, I don't know that I have one prepared for the edifice. That's on me. I know I've shamed myself greatly. Let me just see if there's... Nope.
There's no sound on in the background.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just, in case I saw one that was like, perfect, let's do that, but nope.
I mean, I'm quite a fan of. That sounded like a Vuvuzela.
No. No, I'm good.
Christian Vuvuzela.
I'll try just, but if it sounds too out of the ordinary, I'll stop it. But yeah, so basically, like, the feeling I want to evoke is just this general busy chatter. People are generally at work doing various different discussions and, nope, way too industrial sounding. Never mind. I need to not use it as a crutch. So, but it is a sort of quiet, so not a quiet hall, but it is a large hall, so there's echoey, hushed conversations. Various different political figures murmur to and fro, and they walk back and forth from different rooms where meetings are being held. You know, administrators and bookkeepers, all the little bees that form the hive that is the brain of this city that keeps everything ticking, scurrying about. Bithynia, this is your favored terrain, for lack of a better term. Already you're picking up on conversations and learning little things. Like, as you pass one, you, like, hear, Yes, the stores were a little lighter this year, but we should be able to manage. Stuff that probably isn't too significant in the grand scheme of things, but you're just able to tune into it, almost like jacking into like a wider system, and you sort of come into your own a little as you guys are walking through these halls. The hoplite leads you to what looks to be the main hall, and he opens the large brass doors for you guys, and he gestures you inside. And you come in, there is, there's like a meeting that's about to start. There's very different, like chatters that are echoing throughout this large hall framed by pillars. On the ceiling is an enormous mosaic depicting all the gods, and I mean all the gods, in a sort of wide tapestry, almost like out of character Michelangelo's ceiling, in a way.
And so the thing is totally like in our comfort zone here.
Yeah.
Just like, okay.
You guys are waved at immediately by a familiar, buxom woman in a red, or sort of like a slightly pinkish red dress, Zoe. She's sort of like a, hi. And, yeah, sitting next to her is a familiar, sort of dirty platinum blonde-haired Tanis. She, Hilira, with your passive insight, I'll say she does look a little nervous. Zoe stands up, and next to them both, you see various different dignitaries. You see, in particular, a young, as in mid-30s to late 40s man with a sort of like heavy sideburns that seem well kept. He's got a very receding hairline that makes him look older than he actually is, and a just... You get the sense it's sort of like a resting scowl, but as he looks towards you guys and sees the recognition on Zoe, he cracks a smile as well, and it melts away, and you get the sense it's maybe more of a resting expression as opposed to an individual who is barbed in general. He is wearing a very light golden laurel around his head, like a very short, minute crown. And next to them you see a couple different, like, attendants, like a servant who's preparing like little walnut cakes and little figs, that just offering them about, and 4 total hoplites, fully armored. These ones are dressed in a kind of maroon / like sort of like a fuchsia maroon colored robes. Almost, yeah, like a pinkish red, similar to almost a Zoe's dress.
Does Tanis, like, is Tanis surrounded as well, or is Tanis on her own? Like, where is she?
She's with these people, basically. They're sort of like are surrounding her, basically, not in like a bad way surrounding her, but she is in the middle of them. As Zoe stands up, the man with the sideburns also stands up and accompanies her, and Zoe approaches you all. Thank you so much for coming. Tanis requested your presence as a buffer, just to be her buffer. We're going to do all we can for her as well. The man... Sorry, go ahead.
Continue.
The man approaches as well and smiles to you all. So I take it you are Tempest?
Yes, we are. Have we met before?
I don't believe we have. I don't believe we have. I am Prince Alcibiades.
Okay. My name is Bithynia. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes,
we were summoned here from Tanis.
Yes, my father, King Creon, is King of Glaucion. And yes, so yeah, I'll say out of character as well. It clicks for you when he says Prince Alcibiades. you've heard of him as well. You've studied fairly extensively all the different sort of political family trees that form Theros. Prince Alcibiades is the eldest son of King Creon, who is king of Glossion, which is the city that is home to the largest temple of Amaranthe. It has sort of many... It's is disproportionately wealthy relative to its size, mainly because of this feature they've built that is called the Path of Diocles, which is a very well-built and maintained road that makes travel to and from Glossion to Meletis very smooth and convenient, especially for larger carts carrying goods. Ergo, merchant ships traveling from the Lindishorn, which is sort of further south, oftentimes find it easier to stop in Glossion and take the Path of Diocles to Meletis, where they can also distribute their wares, as opposed to sailing all the way to Meletis with the cost of maintaining a ship. So a lot of the wealth comes to Glossion through the trade that flows through them as a result of this well-maintained road. And yes, they are also home of the largest temple of Amaranthe and the Oracle of Amaranthe, Zoe.
Okay, so, are you in need of any information from us in particular, or...
Not us, per se. We are simply... We have an interest in the child's well-being as well. She, after all, was a guest of our city for several months, and assumed
Can
her
I
training there.
insight check him specifically on if there's any hidden meaning behind the interest?
Go ahead and make an insight check.
23.
You don't pick up any venom in his voice at all. It's interest more in that he use interest based on his sort of tone, and you sort of try to discern any nuances or subtext. The choice of interest, so the choice of the word interest, you gather, is maybe a more of a formal way of saying, like, we want her to be well, kind of thing. You don't get the sense that there's any hidden motives
Not
per
like a
se.
political interest or...
Not especially, no. He, I'll say with a 23, you get the sense that he likely very much, and sort of in summation as well, you know, you're not necessarily, you can be a little in tune with, like, people, if not politics per se, and you surmise fairly well, you kind of surmise that he probably already has any political capital that he was likely to get out of the fact that Zoe presided over Tannis's training. And, you know, any benefit to him and his ilk from that aside, he does seem to sort of, you know, maybe in a detached sort of way, as he doesn't presume to be any kind of father figure or anything to Tannis, but doesn't want her to suffer or anything like that. He just here to just here to do his duty, and is a empathetic human being like anybody else. So when he says, yeah, we care for her and but we want her to be well, he says so. So yeah, there's a formality to it just by the fact that they don't really have an association, but there is no malice involved or hidden motive. He yes, we're just here to see her off, so to speak. She took well to our climate and our city, and we wish her well. So I doubt I'll have much reason or opportunity to voice anything in this particular instance. I'm just here as a bannerman for my people. I'll let Zoe do most of the talking if it comes to that at all. He gets the sense that this is the end of his role in the story, so to speak. He's like, I'll take my seat. They'll be starting in a few minutes. He sort of comes and sits back down, and Zoe turns. He's a good man, but not the most people person. No fault of his own, just a silver tongue is a gift, and some people make do with an ordinary one. And yeah, she it sounds harsher because the DM didn't phrase it properly, but she's more simply saying that like if he gave off any bad vibes, don't pay any mind to that. He's just maybe not the most silver-tongued individual. Yes, Tanis requested your presence personally, just as a buffer. You're the closest thing to friends she has at this time. They will be deciding how to proceed with Tanis going forward. If she is to be the Oracle of Meletis, then that ends up looking like something in terms of procedure or ceremony or scheduling or any and all of that, and that has to be decided. After all, this is the city who will be supporting her in this endeavor, and without necessarily...
So what you're saying is you need us to help create the best celebration party Maltese has ever seen for our new Oracle?
I'm sure there will be discussions of festivities as well, but
Oh yes.
we'll get to that on all good time. In the meantime, I recommend we get to our seats, and I'm sure they'll be beginning momentarily. And you guys take your seats, and just trickling in, you guys, Bithynia in particular, you see it is basically a who's who of political capital within the city. You see, first and foremost, the familiar centaur form of Petty Sophia, the head of the council. She takes her place at the... So, the arrangement here is just long benches where everyone sort of sits a lot more casually in sort of like a thinking man's quorum. Almost like an actual agora. So, Petty Sophia in particular, she sort of finds a corner where almost like a little futon leather mat has been laid out for her, and she sort of sits down the horse part of her on that. She is framed, she is joined not long after by Molpadia, who you all recognize in her familiar half-plate with the blue Miletian hoplite helm upon her head, although she does take it off, letting her curly brown hair, or her wavy brown hair, just hang out. She does turn to you all and waves. She gives you a professional nod. You get the sense she's on duty, but does express friendliness. And on top of that, you next see a elder white minotaur in a wine-red toga, who's sort of like on a walking stick. One eye scarred and long ago blinded, takes his place and sits at the next pod that frames this place. And he is framed by various attendants, several of them also minotaurs. You then see a very dark-skinned woman with her hair tied up in a sort of beehive type situation and long flowing blue robes. A very stern, not like negatively stern, but meticulously professional, McGonagall-like presentation, and she just walks with her head held high and takes her place next. Bithynia, you recognize both these individuals. The Minotaur his name is Sunuran. He is master of architecture or master of construction. The woman is Olexa, master of law. You then see a much old, like very old, woman with hair tied up in like a sort of like a messy top knot type situation that sort of like curls up in a bun at the back of her head, but just like aged wrinkles and heavy scholar robes that resemble Bithynia's, but much longer and flowing and covered with starlight runes and other formations. Scotty, Scotty? Amalia also recognizes this person, but Bithynia, you especially. This is, her name is Persis. She is Master of Education and also Headmistress of the Decatia. Headmistress under Isophanis and you, certainly, as well. She's been Headmistress for decades, and the popular joke is she'll continue to be Headmistress by the time the universe undergoes heat death. It's similar to a Queen Elizabeth type of, people joke that she's secretly immortal. You then see another centaur step forward. This centaur is considerably younger than Perisofia. She looks to be about... Perisofia is about 50, pushing 60. This one looks to be more about 30/40. Sorry, lost my place. And you recognize her as Philia, Master of Health. Following her, you see a slightly more rotund woman with actually a short shock of pixie cut hair that is like sort of like a bright ginger color. You know her to be Dalice, Master of Treasury. A Triton male with sort of like thick muscled arms and sort of like a bald head, but like these thin like sideburns is next. You know him to be Lasthenis, Master of Ships. Sorry, no, I got that wrong. Vorvos Nagalmath, Master of Guard. An older bearded man, which you recognize to be Lasthenis, Master of Ships. Just like a, sort of like a sailor type gray bearded fellow. A very, very fat, balding man of about like 4'2" comes in. He's munching on a thing of grapes and sort of like sucking down on a jug of wine and just making awful noises as he does so. Flanking him, you do see two very familiar faces. Sorry, notes. Both your uncles, of course, working in his department, are in attendance. You catch their eye and they give you like a... They give you an equally detached wave. But you do know the individual that they are attending to.
Great, so
Which,
the proceedings begin.
yeah, which is, he's simply known as Oribasus. He is a Master of Administration. You know him to be a fairly unpleasant individual, but it's kind of like, it's a surface unpleasantness. He's not a bad person. He's just probably quite he's crass, probably doesn't...
To the point.
To the point, loves his drink, loves making crass comments. He's a pig, but he's not an evil pig. And a few other council, and then the sort of last few members of the council, Figaleos, Master... Oh, sorry, Amiathon, Master of Agriculture, a, human individual with long red hair. I think that's... Yeah, that's everybody. Oh, no, sorry, and then Figaleos, a... just like hook-nosed, skinny, like older guy with like these sort of ugly jowls under his chin. He almost looks like a decrepit turkey. But the 12 do take their seats, and the meeting is called to order. There is a and as various other dignitaries, you see merchant, tradesmen, other guild representatives, nobles, they all sort of flock in. This is shaping up definitely to be a busier meeting than most any you've attended, Mythinia. And as everyone takes their place, the meeting is called to order. Lady Sophia steps forward. Welcome all to this council meeting. Thank you all for taking the time to attend. As you all know, this meeting is called to order to decide how... Just think for a moment. Decide how we will proceed with welcoming Tanis. First of all, back to the realm of the living, she says with a hint of humor. And back and into the fold as the oracle of this great city. If that is what she still wishes. And she turns. Tanis, do you confirm or decline now that you are prepared for this meeting, wherein the discussion matter is your place as the city's oracle, to proceed, and that you are in consent of the meeting's premise, and outcome? Or do you decline as is your right, and no more shall be said on the matter, as is her right? You guys, as you're darting about, spot a few people seem almost tempted to raise an objection to the last part, but hold their place. Dennis looks at Zoe, and Zoe puts her hand on his shoulder, gives her a reassuring nod. And she steps up, stands up, turns so that she's facing as many people as she can, and says, I do. I consent to the proceedings. I want to be what I know you all hope I can be. There is various different, like, sort of murmurs of approval that spread throughout everything. She sits back down and, like, her hands vibrate. Her hands, like, trembling a little bit. She's keeping it together, but there's definitely cool bed of nerves underneath the surface. Lady Sophia, with her very eloquent voice, says, Then let us proceed. By decree of this city, with the votes of the council, and she turns, all in favor of the declaration proclaiming Tanis, daughter of wonderful people, I'm sure, who I would love to be able to witness this day. Bearer of the gift of foresight, oracle of the great Clothis, goddess of destiny, matron of purpose, weaver of the strands of fate, to be Meletis's oracle from this day forward. Bithynia puts your hand down and says, and like, just like, you don't get a vote, like, basically. As Scotty raises his hand. You basically give him like a, now's not the time for antics. Yeah, basically.
Okay, fine.
Like, first the bathhouse, and now here, no. Have you been hanging out with Bacchios lately?
Yes, it's fine. We'll discuss this afterwards.
At that point, you get a message in your ear. Bithynia. You recognize Daxos' voice. I heard about the meeting. Bacchios is at the Crucible. I'll keep him here and away from there by any means necessary. You have my word. That's it. You're muted, Baraka?
And so Bithynia, after getting the message, is just like, I didn't even know he wasn't here.
But as you realize the fact, you're like, I was wondering why this was going so well.
Carry on. Continue. Also, thank you.
But yes, Petty Sophia raises her hand. Molpadia raises hers. Sunuran raises his, and one after the other, there is a unanimous consensus amongst the council, and Petty Sophia turns. All those amongst voting citizens of the city in favor say, raise your hand. And Skotinos, you'd be a citizen at this point. Everybody basically except Hilira and Amalia, unfortunately, gets a vote.
Ah, democracy.
You have to be a citizen of a city-state to be able to vote in it. Imagine that. So yeah, everybody, the people in attendance raise their hand, and there's already immediately, definitely a majority victory, but you do notice that not everybody raises a hand. All those against? Maybe a quarter raise their hand.
Do I recognize any of the faces?
Make a perception check.
Creating my new hit list. 19?
Trying to think if you would recognize any of the faces. I'll say that succeeds, but I'm trying to think if you genuinely would recognize any of the faces. I mean, you've seen a few people around. You recognize one person as being a particularly large merchant of blown glassware. She's like a trade merchant who owns a particularly large guild of glass blowing. But you don't remember his name, you just know that's what he does, you've seen him around.
It's more like if we recognize if it's any notable people. If it's just like people, if it's unimportant NPCs, then it's all good.
You do recognize, though, when Bithynia... After Bithynia pointed them out, you knew who they were. One of Bithynia's uncles raises his hand. Bithynia, you recognize specifically... Sorry, second. Yeah, you recognize Epistor, who is the uncle that is blood related to you, versus Kadmos, which is his partner. Epistor is the one who raises his hand. Kadmos,
He's gonna look over like, what the fuck is he doing?
Kadmos, looks at Epistor, retreats a little into himself, but doesn't do anything. The eyes have it. Rise, Tanis, Oracle of Clothis, Oracle of Meletis. There is polite applause. This is not the place for cheers and hollers. This is about as whooping and hollering as this building gets right now, just like a golf clap. Right. With this decree officially in place, now it is time to establish the less exciting portion of this all. First and foremost on the agenda, should a new temple to Clothis be built? I am told by our resident master of construction that we can certainly bear such an expense, barring we obviously do not create anything outlandish. I'm sure I don't need to tell you all that. As monumental as this occasion is, I would hesitate to say it warrants the construction of something on par with the Temple of Amaranthe in Glossion. And both Zoe and the King, Alcibiades, have like a that's fair kind of face to it. Zoe pipes up and says, I would say that that is a reasonable assertion. Your esteemed councilwoman. The Temple of Amaranthe existed long before I ascended to the position I did, or was even born for that matter. I make the temple better, not the other way around. She sits back down. And Petty Sophia says, very well. As to the matter for its very specific size, Councilman Sunuran, and the Minotaur steps forward. I have prepared several designs that may be of appeal. He waves his hand and casts Silent Image. And he basically does like a full-on. Elements of it out of character are almost like the Iron Man holograms. In terms of, he basically creates a presentation of about 3 different temple designs of various sizes. One that would be considered smaller, medium, and a sort of larger edifice. And there is a quite extensive back and forth in terms of discussions regarding this. And as well, the location in particular.
How is Tannis coping while this is all going on?
She's a bit more rocking back and forth slightly in like a trying to soothe herself kind of way. You get the sense that talking about stuff like how big is this temple gonna be, like that's kind of making it a little bit more real. And she's okay, but she's definitely had to dial up the little soothing mechanisms she's relying upon at the moment. Alright, 2 seconds. Sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, so Sunuran takes everyone through. The final design is it's not a palace or a compound or anything, but it's certainly a large temple. At that point, Figaleos in particular, like the sort of decrepit Turk individual, stands up and says, it absolutely cannot be the largest. That would make it larger than the temple of Ifara. This is her city first and foremost. In fact, I would motion that if we don't wish to anger the gods, Tannis must, as a duty, pledge herself to Ifara. You watch as, like, Mopadia, like, literally pinches her brow. And, like, there are several, like, there's, like, gasps, but there was also some, like, nods of assent, like affirmation, like, yeah! Like, this is a forest city! And, Petty Sophia, like, also, like, esteemed councilman, my esteemed colleague, Phileos. As we have discussed previously, oracles are not able to flitter between patrons like one changes a chitin. She is and forever will be an oracle of Clothis, and that is as wonderful as any other god. And, Phileos continues, well, how do we know if we've never tried? I don't think the science is settled. You know, many people are saying there are conflicting, many expert priests are saying conflicting things about this. And, at this point, Zoe, like, rolling her eyes, stands up and, if I may address, as someone who is qualified to speak on this matter. And, Phileos continues, I don't know, I think we've had enough of experts. And, Petty Sophie, I knew that would get him. Petty Sophia, says, Councilman, you have had your time. You will let the Oracle speak, or am I to understand that you do not value the voice of the gods? At that, the Councilman holds his tongue and sits down. Thank you, Councilwoman. I am an Oracle of Amaranthe. I was born an Oracle of Amaranthe. I cannot dispel that any more than I can dispel the wind. I cannot change that any more than I can change the color of my eyes. Or the fact that I need air to breathe. It is part of who I am. Being an oracle is not a choice. It is not something that is as mutable as a pair of sandals. I was born this way. Tannis was born this way. And if she was born this way, then it was by the will of the Mistress of Fate herself. And my existence, hers, is living proof that we are all bound to fate. For how could we foresee anything if it is not a path that is laid before us? She is and forever will be an oracle of Clothis, and she is fantastic for it. Her gift is a wonderful thing. And you can all choose. She gestures she's talking to everybody. She's mainly addressing in the direction of the murmurs she heard in the ascent of the original statement. You can choose to make that gift welcome in the city. Make that gift part of the city as I know it wants to be. And reap all the blessings it can bring. Or you can choose to let your ignorance and short-sightedness get the best of you and squander this gift. I am not from the city, but even in my home, it has always held esteem. This is the font of education, the font of reason, the font of democracy. The idea that what is in here and what is in here matters above all else rather than what is upon the surface. I know this place can be that. And I just need you to know it too. Thank you. She sits back down. And there is just a hint of quiet shame in the room. Maybe not enough for people to have a change of heart all of a sudden in an I'm Spartacus level of declaration, but just like the stillness that comes into the room gives you a feeling like, at least in silence, a lot of people have been put in their place. Very well. And Sunuran pipes up at this point. If it is of an acceptable compromise to our more traditionalist sect, gestures to Figalos, I can make the following amendments that would render the temple numerically smaller than the Temple of Ifara, with a minimal reduction in grandeur and architecture. And Perseus says, if the sheer reverence of Ifara is your main concern, surely as a numbers game this suffices. Figaleos, we find this compromise acceptable. Sort of seeing that he doesn't have the votes to make a dissenting opinion properly, he takes the win that he's been afforded. Very well. We find these designs acceptable. At this point, the Oribasos, who is the fat man who you met before, he and Delisa in particular, the sort of more rotund lady with the pixie hair, they both sort of raise their hand and they like motion that they would like to speak as opposed to chiming in out of turn like Figaleos did. Councilman and Councilwoman, you wish to say something? Yes, Oribasos is speaking. As delighted as we are as well by the design, certainly, we, have some reservations about the expense of such a temple. This is likely to coincide with the Hematikilia, which historically is always a pricey affair to begin with. And, you know, in the spirit of such a monumental occasion, we may run the risk of getting a bit carried away if we don't set some hard boundaries ahead of time. Have we formulated the exact expense this may, produce? We want to be as accommodating as possible and as reverent as possible to the young lady who is, who is to be such a blessing on the city. I, really feel that if we take the steps to plan for it ahead of time and establish the hard lines, we can make sure we achieve that goal and not let perfection or utter reverence be the enemy of good. And I'll say for the purposes of brevity, just because I'm conscious of time. So there is, over the course of about a solid hour, there is a fair amount of back and forth discussions on these matters. So they basically draw up, Sunuran presents several budgets in terms of how things can be done. There is some compromise that is decreed with respect to all of that. And so they agree upon the budget for the construction of this temple. They agree upon a certain number of appointments that Tannis would be expected to take every day. An oracle is meant to be for the people. There is some disagreement as to what that number should be. It is, it's made a several reference that Zoe was taking hundreds a day when she was only a small child. Zoe chimes in and says, "I wouldn't wish that on anybody. No, she likens Tannis more to like a plant that has to be tended in terms of give her the opportunity to come into her own is going to be better than throwing her into the deep end, with Zoe's testimony appealing in favor of, and she sort of phrases it more like, this will work out better for you. She is able to persuade the council to agree upon a reduced introductory schedule of appointments that would be expected of her, of Tannis, sorry, that would then likely expand as she comes of age and sort of develops the experience necessary to be the guiding oracle of the city. There's also, agreements in terms of leisure time that she would be entitled to. That is also agreed upon. I'll say at this...
include hunts?
I'll say, Bithynia? There is a bit of back and forth with respect to the amount of leisure time that Tannis would be expected to have and how much time she would be expected to spend on temple premises. Caring for her, you do have the opportunity to chime in if you wish, because they seem to be at this point in time leaning towards a less forgiving schedule.
So Bettina will, I guess, chime in and say that she... I mean, less forgiving for who?
For Tannis, it's kind of like a 50-hour work week type thing, or it's like 50 to 60-hour work week. So she'd be doing like that. That's what they have. That's what they're sort of leaning towards.
So I guess Bettina will speak up and say that, while the oracle's schedule can't necessarily be predicted, offering a service such as that can't be exhausted, or it could be a negative or less favorable situation for everybody involved.
Okay. Make a persuasion check with advantage because you are within a city. And absolutely, because this is literally a political forum. This is...
You gotta be fucking kidding me. I can't believe this. I rolled a 1, and then I re-rolled a 2.
Oh.
I'm not persuading anyone anything. Yeah, so that's what I have to say.
Fair enough. Yeah, unfortunately, a couple of the naysayers aren't necessarily persuaded by this. With timely interventions from Perisofia, Zoe, and, all together, they are able to not make it a, backbreaking schedule. They're able to reduce it to what would be considered a normal work week. But they are not able to make the arrangement where Tannis would be allowed to leave the city bounds or the perimeter, the city perimeters, unsupervised. She basically would need a chaperone 24/7 if she were to step foot outside the city. Or sorry, no, so I rephrase that. She basically would need a 24/7 chaperone if she steps foot outside the temple. So unfortunately with those roles there, you aren't quite able to make that, convince them of that, despite your connection with them. And as you sit back down, Tannis sort of rests her hand on your knee and says, "You tried. Thank you. And it's not so bad. I can still go places. It just, I'll always have company." And Zoe says, "It's alright. Go. It's alright, my dear. They feel they can take greater license with you because you are younger, but give it a little time, and as you come of age and grow into a woman, you'll find you can command them to afford you far more amenities. It's not the end of it. And Tennis nods, slightly crestfallen, but not without hope. And the final item on the agenda is, what is the reception that the public is to having the idea of an Oracle of Clothis and how they could win over any naysayers. At this point, Figaleos chimes in again, in turn this time, saying, basically sort of making mention that many of those in the city do think like he does, that this is first and foremost a city in homage to Ephara, the goddess of the polis. Ergo, it will be difficult to do so. And many will never be convinced. Which is a true statement and is made in earnestness in this particular instance, though not super helpful, obviously, and he is thanked for his comments, but he sort of returns to silence. And there is a bit of a back and forth as to, you know, what can they do? Should they maybe do a propaganda campaign in terms of like a social media campaign, so to speak, or that sort of thing, like a maybe set up Tannis with her own TikTok. But they ultimately agree that with the Hematikilia drawing not too far into the future, they you're like, when it is that exactly again? And 21 days from today. And, oh, very well. We shall make the preparations and construct the temple in lead up to the festival. And we will make a formal announcement at the festival. And so there's a bit of a discussion about this, and they ultimately decide that that's the best course of action. Tannis asks that you guys be her guests of honor at the festival.
And so Bethania will look over. Of course, of course.
Thank you, and this is an unobjectionable request, so they're like, very well. And so it is basically agreed upon that not victory speech, but the formal announcement and the presentation of Tannis in official capacity will occur at the Hematikilia Festival, which, for anyone taking notes, is basically the harvest festival as fall draws. It takes place at basically the end of fall, when the harvest is done. It's generally sort of like a big affair with, you know, lots of eating and games and dancing in the streets. Very well. As her guests of honor, you will be expected to be in attendance on the 21st. We expect to see you there, of course. Well then, if there is no more agenda for the day, then I conclude this meeting adjourned. And everyone begins to filter out, and before long you're able to, you follow Tannis as well. And as everyone sort of trickles back out into the streets, there is a little bit of solemnness. Hilaria dancing. There's a little bit of a somber tone in the air, just particularly around, like, because it was a bit of a intense meeting, just in terms of there was a lot of serious discussion that occurred. You guys catch up to Zoe, who is comforting Tannis, who is a little bit shook by everything. He says, "Not to worry, my dear. You know I'm never far, and you're going to be fine. I know you will. You're stronger than I was at your age." And Tannis nods, puts on a brave face, and says, she stands up to greet all of you as well. Zoe says, "Well, we will likely have to venture back down to Glossion, but I expect we'll be back in the city for the official ceremony during the Hematikilio. It has been a pleasure getting to know you, Tempest. My prince and I must begin to make arrangements." Prince Alcibiades gives you all a curt nod, and Zoe waves goodbye to you all. Just before she leaves, Zoe steps up to you, Helida. She cups your face in a almost impossibly soft hand, and just says in a very soothing voice to you, "You carry a great pain, my child. Oh, my dear. Just know this. The roots of love are deep and strong, and are just waiting beneath the surface to be unearthed once more." She walks away.
Okay, bye.
I think my brain's fallen out of my head.
But then you were like, not you too.
I-
You, I know you.
I have a hangover, but I haven't been drinking. I don't. Did we win? Did we win? Did...
At some point I was fully expecting
I had been carefully preparing a nice subtle Tasha's hideous laughter in the background. I didn't think the right moment came up, but it was there.
So let's go to that restaurant and find some stuff in the kitchen, Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? Get some movement after all that sitting around.
Is Tannis still with us?
She's still with you guys, but
Yeah, cool.
there are several officials in long robes with this sort of like face wrap that loosely resembles a bandana, but it does keep their eyes revealed, who sort of step up. They obviously look like acolytes of Clothus. And
I'm gonna kind of kneel down. I'm gonna lean over. I guess I kind of get close. Kind of lean over to Tannis and like scoop her up into a big hug. And as I do, I'm gonna whisper into her ears. You best be working on those hunting skills. I expect you to be slipping away out of sight as often as possible. Be as annoying as possible until they give you some space of your own.
count on it.
Squeeze. And I kind of like rotate to squeeze and then pass it on to Amalia.
Amalia gives her an equally big hug. And she does hug you all in turn as well, and you in particular, Bithynia. She pulls you into a massive embrace and says, "You did everything you could. I'm so grateful for that. Please, promise you'll visit me in the temple often, all of you."
Whatever you call, we will come to you.
to see me of your own volition as well. I have wisdom to dispense. She sort of like plays it up in like a really tongue-in-cheek way. And she sort of like sarcastically turns, "Alright, let's go oracleize." The acolytes both look really confused. But they sort of smile and give her a nod, and one of them says, like a much older gentleman, sort of like in his 80s, very like, really sort of heavily like, that sort of like purplish color that happens like when skin starts to struggle to withstand the test of time. And like a very hoarse voice says, "You hungry, child? We can acquire something on the way." And Tanis says, "You know what? Yes." And so she's taken away by these somewhat serious, but you get the sense perhaps not unfeeling acolytes. And you watch her walk off. As she rounds the bend and you guys are by yourselves, you set off. Where are you guys going again?
I think we're planning on doing the kitchen thing, the wreck burn reef
Okay.
thing with the things in the kitchen. I don't know.
Very well. You ask around a little bit. I'll actually say, Bithynia, make an investigation check with advantage.
Already used my crackles. I rolled an 18.
Yeah, you definitely heard of the Wreckborn Reef before. It is a Triton restaurant in particular, owned by Tritons. It is sort of famously styled to look like a shipwreck that is, or at least, so the front of it is styled to look like a shipwreck that has lots of painted wood sections on it that have been carved to look like corals and other things that have been almost like a long ago sunk ship that had a reef grow out of it. And so you know the rough area it is located in, so you go to that area and you ask around a little bit and it is easy enough to find. You approach it and it is as you remember it. It is definitely all shuttered up though. There's a note outside, that as you guys pull up to it, it reads, just, if you're here about the job, we live next door.
Should we go knocking?
I mean, we could. I kind of just want to go in and see what it looks like anyway. But we could. Yes, let's be well behaved for a bit. If I get, then if I change my mind.
Very well. There's a small little...
Yep.
Oh, we lost Rebecca again? Okay, we can give it a second. But hi, Strawberry. Thank you so much for tuning in. You caught us at the tail end of the adventure, but it's been an interesting one. I've had a chance to make use of my soundboard and things like that, which has been kind of fun. You guys, so yeah, Strawberry runs her own live stream channel, which does mainly Let's Plays and things like that, but she's a hell of a lot of fun to watch play, so I would recommend you guys have a gander at her channel if you are stuck for content to consume at any point. We actually briefly chatted about getting her as either a guest appearance or like a one-shot or something like that. And, you know, who knows, maybe down the line when there's more free time and all that jazz, we can see about that once more. Let me know, Strawberry. But, any indication... Sorry, when we say we lost Rebecca, was that like she had to go for the evening, or...? Ah. See, this is the pain in the butt. I can't see those messages and keep you guys on screen simultaneously. Alright, well, fair enough. In that case, I'll say as you approach and knock on the door, we will end tonight's session there, and I think that's a good place to end it off. Pick up next week. Stopping sounds. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to this more RP-heavy session. We love you all very much. Thank you again so much, Go Gaming Syndicate, for the bits. We got our first bits, guys.
Alright.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
But thank you, everybody and anybody who tuned in at any point. We love you all. We are DC30. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.